I know this area a little bit, and I teach it, but not like Vince, that's for sure. And that's why we have Dr. Giovinazzo up here. As soon as I see his head coming around the corner, I'll start telling you a little about Vince here, or Dr. Giovinazzo. I call him Vince. I've known him for 25 years. And in fact, I'll tell you this. I started, when I had to start valuing companies in my career, it was Dr. Giovinazzo that I employed to teach me that. I met him in a seminar. And he was so good and easy to understand that my boss told me I had to do acquisitions. I didn't know anything about acquisitions. So I got Vince Giovinazzo lined up, and that was back in 1988. And yeah, I don't look that old, right? But 88, I started doing acquisitions, and I met Dr. Giovinazzo at that time. Now, since he's here, I can start reading a little bit about his background. And I'm going to read because there's a lot here. It really is. I mean, not just because he's got a lot of years in, but because he's done a lot, okay? So, Dr. Giovinazzo is a Professor Emeritus in the School of Accountancy at Georgia State University. His major areas of interest are financial statement analysis, financial accounting, business valuations, managerial accounting, performance evaluation, profit planning, and budgeting. He has published in various journals and has been awarded the National Association of Accountants Annual Gold Medal for Literature on 2 occasions. Dr. Giovinazzo has participated in consulting and training activities for many banks, large companies, professional industrial associations, governmental units, and other universities. He has also appeared as an expert witness in cases involving business losses and in front of the Georgia Public Service Commission. Dr. Giovinazzo received his undergraduate degree from Rutgers University and his Ph.D. from New York University. He has been a member of the faculties in both Boston and Rio de Janeiro, and was also formerly a manager in the management consulting practice of Coopers & Lybrand, dealing with clients throughout the United States and Brazil. He received a Certificate of Merit for his performance on the annual Certified Management Accounting exam, in which he achieved one of the highest scores in the United States. He has also been recipient of many honors of teaching effectiveness based on both faculty and evaluations and student polls. And I go to his house, and I can tell you right now, he's got award after award after award, and he teaches something that I can tell you is not easy to teach. So let's welcome Dr. Vince Giovinazzo.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm really honored to be here today. My dad ran a restaurant in Newark, New Jersey for over 25 years. And when he wanted to execute his strategies, his plans, his goals, any kind of idea that he had, it was quite easy. And the reason was, his simple approach was, I will always be there. And I didn't appreciate that. My brother and I always talked about opening a restaurant, and boy, would we be doing it differently once we took over. But one of the things, and we've never have, and the reason is, we don't want to always be there. And to run a restaurant, lots of times that's what's needed. Now, as you get to large companies and larger companies, it gets much more difficult to communicate those strategies, those ideas of top management, and somehow get everybody in alignment, okay, to work towards those. Here I have some strategies, okay? This is not in the handout I gave you, but here are some mission statements or strategies. We will provide our customers with the best service in the industry. Our plants will be operated at the highest level of safety in the country. Let me skip the one about share price. Our new product development efforts and research results will be second to no competition. We will always operate within the bounds of all applicable government rules and regulations. And so when you go down this list, these are all very admirable objectives or goals. Well, how do you make them happen? How do you make them an actual operational reality? Okay? And I want to make it very, very clear here that goals, missions, objectives, whatever the company calls them, strategies, and in different management textbooks, they call them by different names. But all of them have to be carried out. And so what we're dealing with is, how do you operationalize them? And here is what we know. Goals and policies may sound very nice. They may be very admirable. They may be with the best intentions. By the way, the strategy may be a good one. The strategy may be a poor one. But if top management decides upon it, then supposedly the organization is supposed to follow through on them. Okay? They are not self-executing. Just the announcement, the pronouncement, no matter how you do it, everyone, you might bring all of management into an auditorium just like this. The chairman of the board or the CEO gets up in the front here at the podium and he or she spouts these kinds of things, and everybody applauds, and then everyone goes back to their jobs. Okay? And not very much changes. We have to operationalize these. And so when you look here, okay, at the ways we're going to do this, this is one of the things that we have to remember, and that's this. One of the pioneers in management accounting is someone called Robert Anthony, who has passed away at least 15 years ago. But he was one of the pioneers. And what he said was that, first of all, when you talk about cost accounting, what you're really talking about is primarily applied economic analysis. But when you talk about management control, and what control really means is achieving adherence to plan. Good plans, bad plans, if they're top managements throughout the organization, they should be trying to follow this. And he said, wait a minute, when you're dealing with management control, achieving adherence to plan throughout the organization, aligning all of the members of management and all of the employees so that their self-interest and those of the company are in line with each other, now you are primarily talking about applied psychology or applied organizational psychology. So what you're doing now is we're talking about how do we motivate people to do these things in the way we wanted them to. And the fact of the matter is that when you talk about these kinds of items, they will only become meaningful if they are expressed in quantitative, measurable terms. That's what's got to happen, okay? And so, for example, we will provide our customers with the best service in the industry. Imagine a detailed organization chart, okay, with all of these boxes, and someone sitting down there and he or she is in charge of a box down here. And they've heard this, and what they want to know is, what do I do? What is the contribution of my unit towards that goal? Okay? And so, for example, if you are in charge of, let's say, a customer call hotline, one of the ways we might define that is 98% of all calls will be responded to within 1 minute. Now that puts it in a way that is measurable. Now, one of the reasons why performance indicators has become so big and scorecarding and has become so important is, first of all, information technology. That in the last 15 years or so, we are now capable of tracking more and more things easily, fast, and in a cost-effective way. And so that led to lots of scorecarding and measurement, and it does lead to more effectiveness, okay, in terms of carrying out these things. So that would be something up there. Our plants will be operated at the highest levels of safety in the country. Who can argue with that? Well, how do we make that a reality? How do we make that an operational reality? Okay? And so that has to be set up. For example, if we're talking about the whole plant, we have office administrators in there. Their concerns and their measures with respect to safety probably are not greatly significant, but the people operating in the plant are. One of the companies that I have worked a great deal with are some utilities. In these utilities, there are lots of very, very dangerous jobs. And so they're trying to measure number of accidents that occur, number of man-hours lost due to job-related injuries, these kinds of things. And so when you start converting these into performance indicators, and we're going to talk about cascading them downward, okay? You have these goals up here, and you go through the organization, and you look into each box on that organization chart, and you ask yourself, in this unit, given what they have to do, how significant is this particular goal in terms of things that they can do? So if you're talking about our plants will be operated at the highest level of safety in the country, probably the payroll department does not have a lot of significant contribution that they can make there. But if you are utility men working out on the electric power lines outside, this becomes extremely important. And in a lot of these plants, what you will see is that up on the wall, and about half the size of this screen up here, maybe the size of that whiteboard there, they will keep track of how many injuries, how many hours have been lost, these kinds of things. So what we're trying to do is operationalize these things. Now, what that means, okay, what that means is we've got to understand the difference between goals and performance indicators. Goals are the desired end results, and you could substitute for the word goals strategies, objectives, missions, okay? Desired end results. Performance indicators are the measurable factor used to describe or articulate the goal, okay? And so here, when we talk about goals, desired end results, what management really wants, often broadly stated, often difficult to measure directly. Performance indicators, the measurable factor used to determine if the goal was attained. By the way, I Google, every time I'm going to make a presentation like this, I Google in the morning these terms. And performance indicators, almost 15 million hits on Google. 15 million sources. That's how important this has become, okay? And it's a proxy or surrogate for the goal. It's more readily quantifiable. It's a practical way to articulate a goal, and it's a feasible way to monitor progress, okay? We all know that what is measured gets more attention. What is measured and what gets reported on, even more so. And what is measured, what gets reported on, and what rewards and punishment are tied to them, even more so, okay? And so consequently, we have to understand this distinction between a goal and a performance indicator. Here are some goal examples. Long-run profitability, high-quality products, best service in the industry, safe work environment, okay, all of these. By the way, high-quality products, one way to do that is by more R&D expenditures, all right? But accounting-wise, R&D is expensed as expended, all right? So this goal here, one of the ways that you do this is by investing in future product development, and that goal there, not in the long run, but in the short run, conflict. And lots of times, in the self-interest of the individual manager might be to maximize short-run profits and skimp on R&D, skimp on training, things of this sort. So one of the things that we've come to appreciate, that goals conflict with one another, all right? They conflict. And all of us, if you're over 25 years old, you know that life is complicated and that it's a balancing act. And none of us have probably figured it out to our total satisfaction how to balance all of the different needs we have in our lives. Well, the same thing inside a company. Okay, so that's what we're looking at here. And by the way, here would be some performance measures. So for long-run profitability, we could look at return on investment. The most commonly used measure in the United States, in fact in the world, ROI, okay? Residual income, all right? Number of defects, consumer report ranking, so this would be quality of products, these two. Number of customer complaints, average response time, customer orientation. Number of injuries in the plant, days lost due to work-related accidents. So we've converted goals into measurable performance indicators. Okay, now having said that, Now I get to our handout, okay, here, and here are definitions of key performance indicators, and what we're really talking about is quantifiable measures. We have to have measures that translate a goal, an objective, a strategy into something that we can measure, okay, and that we can use to track progress, all right? Many things are measurable, but we want to focus in on those that are critical. And out of these, okay, out of these, we certainly can create, okay, a dashboard, and I'm going to create one in a little while, just a brief one, a dashboard, but the performance indicators to track what we're doing, okay? And down here,